French court will rule this Tuesday on whether Perrier must withdraw its bottled water from shelves. This after a consumer group slammed what it called deceptive marketing of the brand as natural mineral water. It's the latest development in a scandal surrounding the Nestle-owned brand, since reports that last year that Perrier and many other mineral water producers had been illegally treating their water to prevent contamination. An inquiry commissioned by the Senate found the French government had covered up the use of treatments for years. Well, for more on this story, I'm joined on set by our environment editor, Valérie Dekimpe. Valérie, thank you very much. Nestle is being accused of deceptive marketing. Why is that?
Well, the question at the heart of this case is Perrier water as pure as it claims to be, or is it just tap water with bubbles? The consumer group behind the case, they say that Perrier cannot be labeled as natural mineral water because Nestle was found to be using filtering systems. And this came to light in 2024 in an investigation published by French daily Le Monde. They found that Nestle was using UV light treatments commonly used to screen out bacteria, but they were also using activated carbon filters. You might have seen those charcoal pieces that some people use in their homes. It's a similar, technique. And so they were doing all of this to decontaminate water it was pumping out of aquifers in the south of France. This is illegal for water labeled natural mineral water because it's supposed to be untreated, unaltered from the ground ground sources up to the bottle. And it might sound a little counterintuitive. Why is it a bad thing that a company is decontaminating water? Well, if it's in a way protecting consumers, well, again, it's illegal because, the perceived purity of natural mineral water is the reason why it sells at a huge premium compared to tap water, about 200 times the price of tap water. And so that is why it's deceptive.
And this is an environment story because Nestle is being accused of treating contaminated water. Tell us more about the pollution.
I mean, it's become a major scandal in France because it's not only Perrier, other brands are also, involved. About a third of all bottled water in France was decontaminated with those filtering systems. And it's also a major scandal because it gives you an overview of how polluted aquifers are in France. In their investigation, Le Monde also revealed that the reason why Nestle was resorting to filtering systems is because the water was contaminated with pesticides, PFAS, so-called forever chemicals, and also fecal matter. So why is this happening? Groundwater is at risk of contamination from farms, factories, other land uses, and that is because groundwater is formed by rainwater that, filters through the soil, the ground. And so it can carry with it any form of pollution present in the soil. And scientists are also saying that contamination was also made worse because of overexploitation and climate change. Companies are now having to pump into deeper aquifers. And because of rising temperatures and more frequent droughts, there's less volume in those deep aquifers. And so the pollution present is even more concentrated. And so companies then in turn, because there's less water in those deep aquifers, are going deeper and deeper. And so you're in this vicious circle of over pumping and pollution.
And so briefly, Valérie, given all of this, are we better off just drinking tap water?
Well, what I found interesting is there's a variety of factors, but what's important to know is that, tap water, you can also find pesticides, microplastics, pollution in tap water, even though it's highly controlled. In France, it's the most strictly controlled food product with 28 million tests carried out every single year. But there is evidence that bottled water contains more microplastics than tap water, for example. France's Office for Biodiversity carried out tests in factories owned by Nestle and found the water contained up to 300,000 times more plastic than the Seine. And so the awful irony of this is that Nestle is the source of that pollution, putting on the market millions and millions of plastic bottles every single year. But if you look at all those different factors together, tap water does have several pros.
All right, Valérie Dekimpe, our environment editor, thank you very much for breaking that down for us.